welcome to Roundtable Live for March 3rd, 2017. I'm BaerTaffy, joined by Northernlion, MathasGames, RockLeeSmile, and Maggie Krohn. Welcome to the show for the very first time. Good to have you. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. I'm good. I took time off of work for this. This is a good segue from your last episode when you guys were saying, just give up on the streaming life, people. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Well, I'm just one of those people who does it for fun on the side, and then I actually do it for a living for a company, which is like a really different side of things.
When you have a foundation like Maggie does, it makes it a lot safer. You are, let me make sure I've got the list correct here. You got game developer, designer, community manager, writer, caster, show host. This is all by your own multi-hyphenate confession as well. Yes, I know. Wow. Impressive resume. Can you go into a little more detail about the development side of things for us? Because I'm actually curious about that myself.
What you want to know about?
Well, where'd you get your start, more or less?
Oh man, that's a long story, but
I like it.
To cut it kind of like short, obviously I've been a gamer for a really long time, and I think all of us have always been like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to make a game? Well, I thought that, and I never thought it would happen. But I got really involved in a game called Vanguard Saga of Heroes a long time ago, and I got really big on the competitive realm of it, and so I started like kicking everyone's booty in tournaments, and I was basically the world champion for all the servers.
Damn.
And I started getting noticed in the community, and someone reached out to me and was like, hey, we have a podcast opening, we were looking for another co-host, and at that time I was like, sure. And so when I go back and listen to my podcast stuff, I'm like, God, I was weird and awkward. But, you know, like, as you get more comfortable with it, we kind of started getting noticed a little bit more in other realms, and we were getting like 12K unique hits a day, which was freaking nuts, and people started noticing, and some of the developers that were working at Sony Online Entertainment at the time were like, hey, we actually listen to your podcast, and we like your mentality. Like, you'd be a really good designer. You should try being a designer. We have some openings that are opening for free realms. And I was like,
man,
I'll apply. I live in a different side of the world, but we'll go for it. And I got the job, and now I'm here.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is a hell of an origin story.
The kid who was like, you know, passionate and loved it. So follow your dreams, peeps. It happens sometimes.
You started this off on that note of quitting Twitch, or quitting everything for Twitch, ironically, but you have championed yourself into this position. So well done.
Yeah, and I was going to school for healthcare administration and music theory, so that's what my degree's in.
I'd throw it on the pile of roundtable degrees. That,
burning in the bonfire. Yeah.
Good kindling.
What do we got? We got the
biology
major.
I'm always like, I have it on my resume, and I'm always like, I'm applying for a video manager job, right? Like, because right now I manage all video content for NCSoft.
Yep.
And I'm like, what does that have to do with healthcare administration? Nothing. But I have a degree, so.
I like to think mine is still loosely attached to the major that I pursued, because I have a communications degree, so, you know.
And you communicate daily.
I'm communicating well, and I think that's all due to my college experience. That's right, yeah. So
I will say that some of the skills that I learned, I do apply to my daily life in regards to, like, the business aspect of things, like knowing economy and being able to work with, like, KPIs and analytical data and things like that probably no one cares about. But those are things that I have to worry about on a day-to-day basis working for a corporate company.
Sure.
So.
I like to think I could take my degree and use it to start a fire, like in a survival game, as kindling.
Totally. I mean,
those skills would transfer.
That's what you've learned.
That's what I've learned over these many years.
I think it means that you'll tough it out. That's like what my degree means for me at this point. Is he did it. Like, he started something and finished it, so he's got like the bare minimum, like, foot in the door there. So. Yeah,
it's a lot. I will say this: it is a lot of time management and dedication, and I think that if you can finish a degree, like, those things are probably the top tier of those things. Because, like, I don't think a lot of people can put in the effort that it takes to get a degree, and anyone who's going to school can probably understand those feels.
I am really glad we brought on a consummate professional here, because we've been spending the last few weeks arguing over whether or not you should use paper or ceramic plates, and, you know, that's like our foundation as adults. So
ceramic plates, people. Why are you using paper plates? You can't. The world. You're wasting things. There's people starving. There's. Again, but you could use it for, I mean, in your case, if you're Mathas and you're homeless or something, I don't know what's happening with that.
No. Hold on. I have a home. You're talking about Rob, who's like in a prison in like Mosul or some shit, not me.
Have you met our friend Rob?
I was
Maggie?
joking. It's more so if you need the paper to light stuff on fire, maybe the paper plates are better.
Rob needs.
Why do we need to throw Rob under the bus out of
Rob
nowhere?
cleaned up his room. He's good.
Here's the thing. It's because Mathas, when something gets thrown at Mathas is like, who do I redirect this to?
Right,
That's like
yes.
That's a developed skill from being bullied all your life. You just got to redirect that shit
It's
elsewhere.
a solid defense mechanism.
It works.
We got a really packed show this week. I mean, my God, for all the non-shows that we've had through 2017 so far, we got quite the doozy lined up. So let's get into it. In addition to having Maggie Krohn here, again, thank you for joining us. We've also got quite the docket, including Twitch beginning to cut their partners into game sales and beginning to get into game sales themselves. We've also got Nintendo. Of course, the Switch was released today along with Zelda Breath of the Wild. We're not going to delve into that conversation just yet, as we want to have Last Grey Wolf Austin, actually, our Zelda guy, to come in here and talk about that with us as well. We've also got the new GeForce card, the 1080 Ti, NVIDIA's fastest card ever. Comes with a price cut on their previous cards, along with a price cut on the Oculus Rift and that controller bundles. There's some good news there, too. We've got the Xbox Game Pass, which is a big story. New Netflix-like subscription service that Xbox is launching this coming month, along with Horizon Zero Dawn, big game launch. And finally, continuing on with our new segment, Game of the Month, we're going to be doing our Game of the Month for February. That's good. That's good, man. There's a lot of stuff. I'm excited, but let's begin. Let's talk about Twitch. Let's talk about the new partner incentive with the Twitch. What do they have, like a name for this? The Twitch
Games?
Twitch Games, something like that? Mm-hmm.
Hit me with the details of this, because I don't think I know them very well.
Sure thing, yeah. So this was recently announced. I think it was even this past few days. Twitch is going to begin to allow partners to opt in to a program that lets them get a cut for game sales that they generate from their page. So there's a little graphic. I think, let me pull this up, actually, so you guys can see this over on the stream as well. There's going to be a new graphic showing up underneath stream players. It looks like a little buy now tab, so you've seen a million of those. And then there's this, they've got this weird point system associated with it as well. Do you have any clarification on that? Or I'm not really sure how that works.
Oh, are you talking about, like, if you spend, for every $5 you spend, you get points you redeem for, like, a crate that gives you a random, like, or a seated, like, chat badge, or some kind of like emoticon access or something like that. Yeah,
so they've got like these little unlockable things that are associated with it too. But primarily, what's the concern is that they're going to allow partners to get a cut of those sales. The opt-in part of this is actually kind of an important facet too, because while you have the opportunity as a partner to opt in to earn revenue from the game sales, I'm pretty sure about this, you don't actually have the option to opt out of this happening on your channel. I'm fairly certain that at this point they are going to be putting this on every single
That was actually my question.
channel, and I think it's partners only, but I don't want to say for sure about that.
So it's going to be on your channel whether you like it or not. You just have to choose whether you want.
You have to choose whether or not you want to opt in to generate a cut of the revenue for yourself, which, I imagine people who are having this forced on them would like to at least have a slice of the pie, right? So this is, there's a couple of interesting points to be raised from here. First of all, just general impressions. I'm curious. Maggie, as a non-full-time streamer, I'm curious about your opinion on this, as maybe just a sort of hobbyist perspective. Do you think you'll be opting into this, or you think is this really going to affect how you stream at all?
So I think it might not affect me as much as it probably does affect like a full-time streamer. It does affect me in the realm of game development, though. Because I feel that as a game designer, I'm immediately like, hey, how can I get involved in this? Because I know from a streamer perspective, I know that I want to be able to make, money monthly and know that I'm going to have good income. And I think that there's already affiliate programs out there, and to have them tied into a program that you're already using, I think is always a good thing. I just think my worry is for partners in the realm of, let's say another program comes out, right? You no longer have that affiliation link with the direct company that you were working with. You're working with Twitch now.
Yeah.
And so I know that already a lot of agreements already say you're stuck with Twitch, and you have to stream your gaming through that, depending on your contract with them. And I think that there's kind of like two sides of that. So it's really exciting, I think, from a game company perspective, because I want to get involved. I want to obviously hit that demographic. There's lots of people who watch Twitch. I want those people to spend money in my game and play my game. So why would I not get involved in that? But from the streamer perspective, I think that it's a no-brainer. You'd want to get involved in making more money so that you can advertise to the people that you're playing the game that you're already playing and make money through that. I don't see why you wouldn't want to get involved. My only worry is that one part is if Twitch doesn't end up being the thing that you use forever.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and you're relying on that for your income.
I don't like that it's on your channel one way or another. I would, if I don't want to be part of it, I would like it to not be on like my streaming channel, because there's no reason for me then not to be part of it. And at that point, you're going to introduce an immediate bias into whether you think the game is good or not, because the more that you sell, the more money you're going to make, and the more you want people to keep buying it. It just adds this really weird conundrum where I'd rather just be like, I'd rather fucking not and just not have it there. Because even if you don't want it there, guess what? Twitch is going to try and sell them to your viewers one way or another, so you're shit out of luck.
That's definitely
They kind of already do that anyway with like Twitch Prime and all of that. Like they already have advertisement all over the site, right?
Yeah.
So.
That is definitely like the biggest red flag, though, that was raised is from the viewer perspective. You know, is this going to taint the opinions of these Twitch streamers? Are they going to just be, you know, intrinsically more incentivized to be positive about their experience when there's a benefit to it? Obviously,
my philosophy right now is actually like the cut, if I remember correctly, is 75 for the publisher or developer, 20% for Twitch, 5% for the streamer.
That sounds right.
So what they're basically doing is just like slightly undercutting Steam, which is 70-30 with no streamer cut in. So it is like they're giving developers, I guess, a reason to push it for one. But also I think that it probably won't be a major source of income for streamers because it should scale with the size of your stream. So I know there is a concern that people are going to be like, you know, they're just going to sell out for all these games. But I think if you consider like from a $10 purchase, a streamer is going to get 50 cents from every single purchase. That's not really worth that much. Like even let's say you have like 100 viewers. If even 10% of them buy that, that's not a huge amount of money for you. And then if you have like 4,000,
the big streamers though, like it does become it. Like you said, it scales with like your viewership.
Oh, I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah.
The top end people are going to be making more. It's the rich keep just getting richer, right?
True.
Those situations.
But I kind of feel like if you're already getting like thousands and thousands of concurrent viewers, like your subscriber revenue and like your revenue from advertisements and from Twitch Prime and from bits is probably going to eclipse it. So, I mean, if you're getting like 15,000 concurrent viewers, I really can't see the logic behind like, I'm going to play this game I don't really like and misrepresent it instead of just like, keep doing what you're doing and play whatever you like that's been working for you. But
you say that.
Yeah.
Just take a moment back, think about YouTube and how it's grown and the integrity of some of those larger YouTubers and YouTube channels that we have nowadays. So I think like integrity is always going to be a thing that is, people are just, you're going to have to know who's being genuine and who's not. And I think that those things are going to change throughout the years, but I think there's going to be sellouts. You have to know there are going to be. Like, of course there's a potential for that. If somebody's making money off of something, they're of course going to be like, yeah, come play this game and click that link and give me some more money.
Especially if it's a multiplayer game, it's so easy just to get your viewers to jump in.
Yeah,
You can get them to come play with you, right?
I get that, like, for us, like, we're not that kind of streamer where we're going to try to exploit the shit out of our viewer base, but it's too altruistic for other streamers. I think there are streamers out there who'd be like, this is a multiplayer game. I could crank out like a few hundred tonight alone just by playing this. Let's do it.
But what does a few $100s mean to like somebody who's getting 10,000 viewers per stream?
Who fucking knows? I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to say that like $200 is not a lot of money or something like that. But if you have somebody on Twitch who has like, you know, 8,000 or 9,000 subscribers anyway, like they're making so much money that I feel like that's a drop in the bucket. Like at what point does like
you say that, but then they still. I'm on the other side of things. I'm on the side where I'm hiring you peoples.
Right? Yeah.
YouTubers. I'm hiring people to tweet stuff. I'm hiring people to be influencers in their worlds, and I see them go, well, I want $10,000 for that tweet. I want $60,000 to give you a shout out in a video. Like,
right?
It seems ridiculous to say like, oh, $60,000. That's a lot of money, right? But to them, you're saying, oh, that's just a drop in the bucket. But for them, it's like, oh, but if you want a shout out, sure, yeah, you have to pay me that much, you know? And like,
I agree, but also I'm like, if they're the kind of person that's getting paid, $20,000 to do a sponsored stream or a series of sponsored streams, that is the kind of thing that'll motivate them. Like a couple $100. Again, I'm not saying it's not worth money. I'm just saying if you're streamer X and a company is like, I'll pay you $10,000 to play my game that's not very good, that's worth a lot compared to like I can make $200 by trying to build that game. Yeah.
But do you think that they're going to keep it at 5% for some of those high tier people? Because I think that the same thing has happened with subscriptions, right? They've given some streamers more of their percentage of their subscribers than for these certain, ad revenues. So I'm wondering, like, is that going to change? So they say this is the split now, but is that going to always be the split? Is it always going to be 5%?
Yeah, I mean, that's valid. I have no idea, but I mean, I would love to see it rise. I guess to be selfish, I would love to see it rise.
What do you think about the perception issue, though, of having your channel becoming a storefront? Because it's sort of taking the focus off of the streamer and putting it 50-50 with the product you're technically selling now. We weren't necessarily selling something before. We were playing a game that happened to also be for sale in parallel, but now we're actively selling.
Well, let me shoehorn this point into there as well, which is to say that, like, this is probably the first step toward Twitch becoming a storefront. Just in general, right? And I think it's pretty logical at this point that they do.
When do they get their own launcher?
Yeah, well, I mean that's already happened.
That's what's happening.
That's what's happening. Oh, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
I thought it was just going to be a link underneath your stream.
No, it exists. It's already there.
Oh Jesus!
And the other thing is that you only get 5% on qualifying sales, which we're assuming right now is going to be sales through Twitch and then like activated through the Twitch launcher instead of like buy it on Twitch and get a Steam code. So
well, they've got to control every facet of it if they're going to get into this area of the industry, right? They have to be able to verify everything through their own system. I think that certainly would make sense. However, it is just another launcher that we have to deal with, which totally sucks. But maybe
it'll be better than Uplay.
Maybe it'll be better than Uplay. There's the bar.
God, I hope so.
I'm glad you're there with us on your side of the industry.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, to my point, I was a little bit conflicted because on one hand, I absolutely would want to sell pretty much every game I stream. But on the other hand, I want to be the one that's in charge of how I do that. Yeah. And if Twitch is kind of stepping in the middle and saying, well, you're equally as important as the game you're selling, that just feels a little off to me, right? Is that...
I don't know if I'm like because I'll admit that when I first read this, I don't know why, but I just had a little bit of a weird feeling about it, and I even went so far as to say Twitch is doing so much good for us recently that it's making me think, okay, where are they going to pull the rug out from under us, right? Like, where's the catch? What's going on here? But I think this is just like, I don't know, it doesn't necessarily require this level of pessimism from me, I don't think. I think this is just I like your point though, because you're making a point different from the overall point, which is that it may be a little bit of a hindrance on your ability to properly play games, considering they're making you do this. Like it's not a choice. If you want to play the games that they're partnered for, you're going to have that little button underneath there. That's not an option. But in the overall, I think I've kind of just come to terms with like, yeah, this is the direction Twitch is going, and I'm just going to have to kind of get on board with that because it's going to happen. They're going to get further into this. They're going to expand more into the storefront area. They're going to become more involved with getting their partners to, be partners and get involved with the business side of things, I imagine. So, yeah, it may be a little sketchy, but I believe I'm pretty sure is just what we have to get used to. I think
someone in chat has mentioned, and I think we've kind of touched on this, but not specifically, is the fact that streamers are already kind of pushing people to buy products already, right? Like, as you're playing something, you're already, like, people are already buying that product because they're like, oh, BaerTaffy's having a ton of fun playing this game, I'm going to go buy it. Mm-hmm. Now, they're buying it because you are awesome and you're making the game sound awesome, but you're not getting anything back from that, right? And I think that this is going to really depend on how they implement it to Nick's accord. It's going to be like, if it's just, hey, I'm playing this game and they're only advertising that game and it's very subtle and it's just there and you can be like, while you're playing, someone mentions, hey, what is this? I want to play it. You can be like, yeah, click my link there and it comes back to me. Like, it doesn't have to be super intrusive, but it depends on how it's implemented, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, people already have affiliation links. We already know that. I mean, this is basically a next step to integrate it as part of the product.
That was another point I was curious about. This isn't necessarily, that relevant to us, but there are quite a few people that use the G2A links, use the GOG links, the Green Man Gamings. There's a lot of affiliates going on already. This is probably going to sever those ties pretty substantially, I would imagine, because I don't expect...
Only if the split is worth it.
Yeah, I still don't think... when I threw out that, 100 viewers, 10% thing, that was really just to push it to kind of an extreme, because 10% is a ridiculous amount of viewers to sell a game to, to get to actually buy a product. I think that's ridiculous.
10% of 10% is probably closer to what...
Yeah, or maybe 1% of 10%. But
I kind of have data.
Oh, yeah.
Enlighten us, please. We're just...
Okay.
We don't have to pull numbers out of our ass anymore.
When you look at an attrition funnel, you look at, first it's impressions, right? It's the first bit is how many people come to your channel? You hit this many unique views, right? Now take that. You guys all know your unique viewership. Go down and the people who actually come in and they stay and they're active members of your party, I don't know what your percentage is. It could be 45, it could be 60%. It just depends on how many people actually stay part of it. And it's going to vary depending on the streamer. Like you said, if you have 100 viewers, I actually find that people who have a smaller amount of viewership actually have a higher CPA rate because of the fact that those people are a little bit more they're a community, right? It becomes a little bit more tight-knit versus people who have 20,000 viewers concurrent. They might not have as many people who are dedicated to what they're doing. They might be I hop in, I check it out. They're not necessarily going to click on everything. But the thing that they have is they have so many people, it doesn't matter, right? Because it could be 10% of their viewership and still be 1,000 people or whatever that number might be. So I think you just have to kind of look at the data of your own and kind of go down that funnel to figure out how many people are going to actually click on a link. And then from the click on link, it's usually 60% of those people actually will make a purchase.
Oh, okay.
So
that is more than I thought it would be.
I don't know.
Mind flooded Ryan.
Well, I mean,
this is what I do for a living to some extent is
no, yeah, of course.
Influencer relations.
It's actually awesome.
Content creation. So it's but I'm on a different realm of things. So I'm heavily KPI driven, right? I think you guys were even talking about last time. You're I don't really look at that because it stresses me out. I'm I have to look at it, and that's why I'm stressed out.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to jump off this because I think we could spend a lot longer on here, but we got a lot to talk about today. That is very interesting. Looking forward to seeing what they do with that. Let's go as
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I still think if you just... here's the thing. The difference for me is that G2A is known to throw 4 or 5 or even higher figures than that at streamers and big YouTubers just to get them to put the link down there with the affiliate store to begin with.
Yeah.
Twitch obviously is not going to do that. So, I mean, you have people everybody knows the problem with G2A right now. The question becomes, is it worth dealing with the ethical concerns to keep getting a pretty fat paycheck? And a lot of people say yes. I just think that this will be revenue, but I don't I think it's still going to be subscriptions in Twitch Prime, bits, and then somewhere in the ad revenue region, you're going to have Twitch game sales. But I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I still think, in regards to what you're saying, they're going to change that percentage, though, depending on the influencer. I don't know. Maybe not, though. Maybe they will keep it even. We'll see.
We'll see. All right. Going on to Nintendo. Of course, something happened today. I think there's a lot of people lining up outside of Walmart. Not really sure why, but
yeah.
I went to Target to get a coffee this morning. Mm-hmm. I walk in and immediately the guy's "Are you here for a Switch?" I'm like, "No." No, and there's a ton of people, and there are other people leaving, and I'm like, "No, I just want a coffee." He's like, "Okay," because we're out, and I was like, "Wait, how many did you get?" And he's like, "We got 10." I'm like, "You only got 10? Good luck. Good luck."
Are you telling me that the Target greeter didn't go, "What are you doing in Target trying to get a coffee?"
Because Starbucks opens at 7 o'clock in Target. There's a Starbucks in the Target. So
okay.
When it opens before the Target opens.
Maybe if he wasn't so focused on the Switch at the time, he would have been a little bit more off-put by Mathas's position. But
no, yeah, he was ready to turn everybody. He's like, "Get out, get out, get out."
They had 10 at a Target.
Yeah,
that is, man. Okay, I don't want to.
Nothing.
The GameStop apparently down my street only got, outside of the pre-orders, obviously only got 4.
Oh my God.
Why? Why? That's so weird.
Okay, I don't want to start it off on a negative point, but it is so silly at this point, man. In the year of our Lord 2017, you can't understock. It's like, send more units.
Here's the problem, though. They've understocked, and it's worked for them.
Yeah, so like I assume it's on
but it
purpose
works
at this point, right? It's just to drive the hype engine, which is it's so frustrating.
What I don't understand is supply and demand, right? Like, you know that people want something, and you have a gauge of like how many people. Don't they have a gauge of like how many people are going to purchase it? I mean,
they must have run the analytics on it and decided that it's worth more money to not sell them in the long term.
I had hoped, Maggie, that it would seem more logical to you because we're all in the dark here. You've got the industry side to try to make it seem logical.
I have no details really on like box products or things like that because the last time I did a box product was probably like a really old EverQuest 2.
Okay, yeah.
Like a thing. Because like ever since I want to say like 2008-ish, box products haven't really done so well. So
I don't know how true this is, but I also had people on Twitter when I was tweeting about it earlier this morning saying they could get in and get a Switch, but they had already sold out of all the Zeldas, but they still had Switches. And I'm like, how does that happen? Like, how does that?
Resellers is the first thing that comes to mind, right, for Zelda.
They buy all the Zeldas and eBay them. Yeah, that's true.
I have all the Zeldas.
That's crazy.
I mean, oh god, I don't want to dwell on this for too long, but like Nintendo is encouraging that by undersupplying. They are absolutely encouraging that third-party seller market for people.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm gonna get eBay real quick. I want to see what the NES Classic still sells for.
Oh god, yeah, that thing too. Jesus.
$164 is the first one that pops up.
That is an expensive Raspberry Pi.
You're right.
Keep in mind, though, people look at eBay a lot of the time, and so you got to see the ones that have actually sold, not the ones that are just.
Yeah, there's a lot of listings that are like for 7 days they're going to be up at $100.
And they'll go away eventually.
Anyway, apparently Zelda is a masterpiece, so let's get back in the positivity train, I suppose.
I haven't gotten to play it, but I think it's the only reason why I want to get a Switch right now. I feel like all the other games on it, I'm just like, I know probably some people are going to hate me for that, but like I just feel like none of the other games for the product are really like exciting me. I think there's a couple, but they're just not out. They're not coming out with launch of it. So
yes, correct.
So,
I am 100%
with you.
They
showed the trailers of them, and I'm like, oh, sweet, they're going to launch with them, and no.
Yeah.
No.
Just tease me.
We're in that camp, I think, for the most part. However, I think, like, in the last couple of weeks, they've made the case for Day One Switch.
Yes, arms. To everyone in chat, arms, yes.
Oh, yeah. They've made the case for Day One Switch a lot more compelling. With Zelda apparently, again, being God's gift to Earth, but... we have quite a few more indie titles that were announced for the Switch as well. Runner 3 is going to be coming to the Switch fairly soon from Choice Provisions. We've also got SteamWorld Dig 2, which I like. SteamWorld is a good time. Ukulele,
Runner's
of course.
exclusive, right?
Is it? Yeah, I think
I believe it is. That like actually kind of bummed me out a little bit because I wanted to play that on PC.
Yeah. But yeah, the SteamWorld games have been pretty damn good. Ukulele will be coming to the Switch as well. You got Blaster Master Zero. The Blaster Master games were on the 3DS, I think. And I guess that's just going to be the Switch version. Pocket Rumble from Chucklefish. I don't know much about that, but I've actually heard decent things about it. Quite a few more. You got Stardew Valley coming onto the Switch as well. You got Tumbleseed, which we've spoken kindly of in the past. Exquisite experience. You got Overcooked coming there. Escapist 2, Goner. Kingdom 2 Crowns, which I'm really excited about, actually. That's the co-op version of Kingdom. That was cool from 2015. And Dandara, which is a new one from Raw Fury that I actually am curious about as well. But there's quite a few indie titles that I did not know about until very recently, and that makes me happy. But yeah, I am still with you though, Maggie, in that the argument for it at the moment.
Some of those are already out too, like Goner and things like.
Right,
some of them
yeah, so quite a few
products that you can like. I feel like this is going to be similar to my feels on the Xbox stuff when we start talking about that, but it's like I own most of the games already. Sorry, I accidentally muted myself.
I'm with you. I don't think there's really anything on the console, right? If you don't have a Wii U, like obviously pick up a Switch for Zelda. But if you have a Wii U, I find it difficult to really find an excuse to buy a Switch right now. come
just
the
find
holidays,
it difficult to buy a Switch in
Right,
general.
yeah, exactly.
As well. So
well, I mean, yeah, like it's hard outside of like maybe at the year's end when you have ARMS, Zelda, Mario Odyssey, and like obviously a Nintendo first party stuff that's lining it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Outside of that, though, I mean, there's not too much for it right now.
Yeah, I think a lot of the big driving force on the Switch is just kind of like it's the new thing, so everyone needs to buy it, which Nintendo has been on top of, for many generations now. It's sort of like a new Apple device. Everybody just wants the new Nintendo thing. Mm-hmm. And, well, they also didn't really talk at all about if the Wii U version of Zelda was any good. I haven't seen anyone talking about that at all.
I want to hear you talk about that.
I know you're going to talk about it. I'd say the only thing I've read about the Wii U version is that it runs worse than the Switch version, but other than that, it's pretty much identical.
So let me hear
I can't speak to whether or not it runs worse than the Switch version because I don't have a Switch. Mm-hmm. And I actually went out to Walmart at 3 o'clock last night just on a lark in case they had one left. They said they actually had them until 1:30. So I was just a little earlier. I could have grabbed one.
People just like lazily walking in just like you around 1 a.m. Hey.
I just went and grabbed Zelda on the Wii U and I was like, you know what? I'll take a chance on this. Nobody's talking about this version of it. Maybe I'll at least be informed. And the dude didn't even know what it was. I was like, can I get a copy of Zelda for the Wii U? And he's like, we've got Twilight Princess Remastered.
You're like, no.
And I pointed at it and he's like, no. Oh, that one.
All right,
it was very confusing.
So let me hear your surface level impressions, because again, we got to wait until we get to the in-depth stuff until we've had a little bit more time.
So no spoilers here, obviously. I did play like literally 12 hours of this since I picked it up at like 4 a.m. and I've been playing it almost nonstop with a couple of breaks in there. I had to do some errands.
For not having any sleep.
Oh yeah, my sleep schedule is super broken right now, so I'm just kind of riding the wave of that for the moment, like Mathas.
Yeah, we got these two. It's a fucking wild.
I'm trying to use my time productively. If I can't sleep, at least I'm playing Zelda, right?
Yeah,
so
that's
that's
true.
what we talk about. So first impressions were essentially, it's that gameplay preview that we saw at E3. Doing that for a while, and then I got off of that plateau at the beginning, and it's like, wait a minute. You serious? This game is like 1 million miles long in every direction. Yeah. It's like the biggest map I've ever seen, both vertically and horizontally. It's got like some of the biggest scale that I've ever seen.
That's awesome.
Which is nuts. Like it's kind of like Just Cause or like a Far Cry, but Zelda. And then you get into these shrines, and there's like over 100 of those, and they're like little portal test chambers. And surprisingly, and this is the thing that was the biggest change for me, is a lot of the puzzles that I've found so far are entirely physics-based, which is an entirely different style of game than I would have expected from prior Zeldas. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's usually like hit a switch, shoot a thing in the eye, push a block, like that kind of stuff is Zelda. This was like building towers out of ice, out of waterfalls, and like making marble mazes, which is really weird. I really didn't expect that. And they also give you almost all your powers in the first 2 hours of the game that I found. Like, there might have been more later that I haven't obviously gotten to, but they gave you the majority of things like bombs right away. And you don't even have like a quantity of them. You just psychically create bombs.
That was one of the big things I was hearing. I think I read it actually in Jason... I always say his last name wrong.
Voorhees.
Yes. Jason Schreier?
I thought it was Schreier, but I think it might be
anyway,
Schreier.
His Kotaku review, like he was mentioning how, like in most Zelda games, your sense of progression is defined by unlocking things as you go. So, like you'll see areas that you can't access yet, and think to yourself, "Oh, I got to make a mental note of that, so I can come back here and access this later and have fun with it once I have the right item." But with this, it's like the opposite, right?
Yeah, I mean, there are still things you got to find, and there's also some things that I wasn't super happy with, like the way the loot system works with constantly changing out weapons.
I have a question about that.
Yeah, they kind of No Man's Skied it a little bit. Like the first many hours of the game are exclusively dumping stuff out of your inventory, which isn't fun.
You know what the worst part of that is you say they No Man's Skied it, and I don't know what you're referring to as far as like how they screwed it up. Like I've got like 3 different things.
Sorry, I was referring to what I think to be the biggest problem with No Man's Sky, which is the inventory system being always full.
Right.
So I have a question for you. I feel like that's the problem with Resident Evil 7.
Yeah,
Yeah, I hit that in Resident Evil 7 a couple times too. But I've seen a bunch of reviews praise its like weapon breaking system and constantly having to switch weapons. But all that reminds me of is Dark Cloud and how much people fucking hated it in Dark Cloud. Yeah. Why is it better in Zelda? Because people are loving it in Zelda, but they hated it 10, 20, not 20.
I don't
like 10,
understand what argument there is for it being a good system, but I would be open to hearing those system arguments. I am not interested in that style of gameplay, honestly.
I didn't mind it in Dark Cloud.
No?
This is a weird argument to be made for my position on it in Breath of the Wild, but I didn't think it was that bad in Dark Cloud.
And it's not just weapon degradation like you're used to in Dark Souls. It's like you can hit 3 enemies and they break.
Yeah, and the weapon it's gone.
And even the like high class, like higher tier secret kind of weapons you get out of a treasure chest, even those will break after about 4 or 5 encounters.
I'm very curious just because I want to play it. The game still looks good. I really want to try it out badly. But with an open world game like that and removing the Zelda progression system that you're so used to of going into a dungeon, getting an item that will help you in a further dungeon, I feel like the progression then should be loot that you get and finding these awesome weapons that will make you a badass for X amount of time until you find a new weapon.
Right. Like Borderlands, basically, right?
Yeah, or Borderlands or Witcher-esque, where you're just constantly getting better weapons or replacing the ones you get. Even Witcher's breaking weapon system was a pain in the ass. I hated it. So I'm curious, like, now that all your weapons break, like, you can't really get attached to any particular gear because it's just going to be gone.
I have to hope that somewhere deeper in the game, maybe there's a different way that augments that system. Maybe there's a more permanent weapon that you get to keep, or maybe there's a way you can repair weapons. I mean, I'm still almost at the very beginning of the game, despite having played 12 hours of it.
A lot of exploring.
I've just been opening up the map just to see what's out there and not, like, doing anything in the map. I've met a couple of NPCs and I was able to open up some inventory slots, so that's at least a little helpful, but still, I only got to open up 2 of them before the dude left. So I've been avoiding combat.
There's probably a lot of like dungeon stuff and exploring that you haven't done that unlocks some of that cooler stuff.
Yeah, I have to hope that.
Quest trains or something.
Yeah.
Just at a superficial first glance, that's sort of like the thing that I've taken away from it is like I just don't want to be involved in combat because I hate the weapon system.
When you talk about durability, like, I don't know why. I've been playing a lot of Minecraft, and all I keep thinking about is the durability of the shears at like the first level tier shears. And I'm
break.
like, oh, the pain.
Yeah, durability I just never liked in any game. I mean, I love The Witcher. It's one of my favorite games, but I fucking hate the durability system in that game. It
I'm
pisses
trying
me
to
off.
think of a durability system that I actually enjoyed, and
People liked it in Zelda, and it kind of was like, why?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't make an argument for it from Dark Cloud as like it's a good thing. It's just like, I mean, it was okay.
You didn't hate it.
Didn't hamper my experience, right? Also, what odds do you give me of Nintendo flagging us if I show Austin playing this in
100%.
Yeah, Austin in theater mode though. It's like a small screen on a small
matter.
screen. No, all right.
No, people said you have to like avoid logos, you have to avoid any noises. Like it's ridiculous. It's just
all right.
The Nintendo claiming bot.
Yeah, none of that.
So I wanted to mention though, so that was sort of the bad thing. The other bad thing is I find the controls are very overly complex. And I did try it on both the Wii U tablet and the Pro Controller. Both felt a little off. And not like irreparably off, just like it needs to let you map the controls the way you want to, because it just doesn't make sense that some of the buttons do 2 different things sometimes than not other times. And then you need to hold down, like, do this weird claw with your hand to hold down another button.
The claw.
To slide over on the left analog stick. It's just unnecessarily complicated, and I think there's a better way to do it. I don't know what that is necessarily, but it's a little awkward.
Yeah. Sorry if I'm picking your brain.
Have you ever played Dark Souls with keyboard and mouse? Because
God, no.
That's like someone just took their face and they're like, let me just smash it on my keyboard, and there's your hotkeys. Go for it. Like, what?
So let's I want to hold you back if you're going to ask another Zelda question, because I'm going
to ask one more Zelda question.
Okay.
Do you find the stamina system annoying? Because I hated it in Skyward Sword.
It's sort of give and take. Sometimes it's annoying, sometimes it's fine. You start out very limited, and you do get to upgrade it, so I'll just say that, I guess.
All right, I'm eager to check it out. I still want to play it. So.
And before we move on, I do want to say that the game does generally play pretty well. It doesn't look fantastic. It's got some kind of grainy issues. The draw distance has some problems sometimes, but it also looks beautiful sometimes too. In certain situations, there's a lot of stuff physics-wise going on, and it will destroy the frame rate. Other times, the game plays mostly fine. Ultimately, I think where I'm landing, and granted, 12 hours is not like the whatever, like 300 hours that I'm probably going to need to see most of the game.
Yeah.
But in my experience so far, it does seem playable, and it does seem like an okay version of the game to get if you really want to play Breath of the Wild and you don't want to buy a Switch. I don't regret the purchase, and I will probably play a lot more. So
cool.
That's just kind of the bow on it, I suppose.
Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah, so there's the Switch stuff. We'll be talking more about that. Well, actually, next week is PAX, so more on that later. But yeah, we'll figure out what we're going to do there. Let's talk about the new GTX 1080 Ti. Not much to really talk about here. More to the point that there's a new card that is really, really good, which made all the other cards cheaper. So hooray! The cheaper cost of PC hardware is a win for everybody. And going along with that is also the story of the Oculus Rift dropping its price by $200, which is actually a very
right on time,
story. Right? Yes, exactly. Good.
Didn't we think there were no more ways that the Oculus Rift could make me sad? I had come out the other end of that dismay, and now we found a new way. But, to be honest, I'm actually glad that it dropped in price. More people are going to be able to get the Touch for a reasonable amount, and it's a really competent, decent VR setup. Pair that with
HTC Vive.
So yeah, does the $200 price cut make this like an insta buy over the Vive?
I think now that the Touch exists, yes, because almost every game works.
Mm-hmm.
My
Makes
opinion,
sense.
no. But
you gotta defend that.
I've used both of them, and I feel like the HTC Vive is a better, superior product in all of the senses of like the way that I experience the game and the controls and the way that I set it up in my house. Like all of it combined together, I feel like it's just. I know it's more expensive to some extent if you get the full setup, but I don't know. I just like the product better.
Do you think it's the controllers themselves, or do you think it's just like Valve as a whole just understands VR to a finer point?
I don't know if that's necessarily the case. Maybe. I don't know like what's going on in the back end of that, right? Like I'm kind of new to the VR world, but the past 2 months I've just been playing a lot more VR games, and I love it so much. I'm just trying to convince my boyfriend to get in on it.
You gotta help me convince all these guys, because
I'm like me and my core group of friends now that like they've got like at first I was really because I get really motion sick, and I've never been really motion sick until now. As an adult, which is really strange, and I guess the more that I played the last few months, I've just been really, really liking it and just having a lot of fun. And I don't know if it's because I'm surrounded by like cool people that I'm also playing with, so I'm not alone playing by myself, but I've definitely been enjoying it a lot.
Yeah. I'm excited for this as another step closer to the idea of VR becoming a lot more mainstream. I love that my enthusiasm for it is being backed by the industry more or less continuing to go down this road, because I feel like at any point we could see them say like, well, okay, VR isn't working, let's just wait a few years and see if maybe the market picks it back up again. But that's not the case, like Valve is going really strongly into it. In fact, like with Gabe Newell's recent press thing, he was mentioning how they're now working on 3 full-fledged VR games, not just gimmicky stuff, but they're working on the real deal. And we've got, these price drops coming. The new graphics cards are inherently going to make it a lot more accessible for people, just because not only does it make it easier to run that sort of a gear, but it also makes it easier to get in on the ground floor when the cards are becoming cheaper, for every new generation. So it's awesome.
And now they have like tons of laptops that are super accessible for VR that you can play on too. And my only thing, I'm guessing you're talking about the 1080 Ti.
Yes. Yep.
You're talking about, yeah. I think like that product is good if you are doing VR stuff, but I feel like it's not like that drastic of a difference from the 1080 because it's only like a 25% increase. So it's really not that big of an increase to make an upgrade.
Sure. Yeah.
So it just kind of depends on what you have in your PC right now.
Yeah, and you're right, but like the thing I'm most excited about from that is mostly just it's getting cheaper. Like that is it's still got to be, and I think it's by admission of the Oculus people as well, it's got to be the number one thing turning people off to it, right? Is the cost of admission at this point. It's still just
it's an enthusiast only device with this price point is the problem.
I feel like if you want to get into VR and you're like kind of new to it, I actually think the PlayStation VR setup is probably the easiest to get into, and it's probably cheaper in retrospect. I don't know. That's my opinion of it, and what I think would be the route that I would recommend to if one of my friends was like, "Hey, I'm curious about it."
What games have you played on the PlayStation VR?
I'm trying to think of I'm so bad with the names because I don't know all the names because like they're really weird games. Like one of them is like I'm adventuring and I'm like shooting bows at skeletons and random stuff and there's puzzles. I don't know all the names.
Oh, I think I know that one actually. Let me see if I can find it. That might be Vanishing
VR.
It's kind of like no, it is. It's totally like Zelda but in VR.
Is it Vanishing Realms?
Link's Crossbow.
Yeah, Vanishing Realms.
Vanishing Realms. Yeah.
That's it.
Vanishing World is actually super cool.
You should play it if you haven't.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. I like how immersive it is, and it's kind of cutesy art, so it's not the greatest like high res, but it's pretty fun.
Mm-hmm. Did you by chance play the Batman one on the PlayStation VR? No, you
I
didn't.
definitely will have to check that out.
Mm-hmm. I've heard good things about that too. This is again just a gush moment for me of hoping that someday soon we're looking at V2 of this. I would love to see
another week of talking about VR despite the last seminal VR game coming out like 9 months ago.
Bear just wants us to have a Roundtable wing in Elite Dangerous.
The landscape keeps getting better and better.
There's a lot of VR stuff, man. It's like people aren't paying attention to it, but there are VR games coming out.
Absolutely.
And I got to admit, like, to your point, Bear, about how you're saying, like, what if this is, like, getting cheaper, maybe VR is just, like, being delegitimized, or maybe the industry's going to move on. There's a part of me that's like, is this, like, the Battleborn moment for the Oculus? Are they about to jump off the cliff?
I see, yeah.
Rip Battleborn.
Sorry, Battleborn, I don't mean to throw you under the bus. It's a good game. It's just,
it's such a good game.
I actually do like Battleborn.
Bad for them. Like, such a good game. I just feel so bad that, like, they just got crushed by Overwatch, to be honest.
I want to hear you talk more about that if you have further points, Maggie. I'm curious. About the whole Battleborn versus Overwatch thing. I want to hear it from the industry side.
From the industry side, I feel like that's got to be really rough. I mean, I don't know I don't have like a ton of friends that were on that side of things. I know some people who work over there, but I don't know like inside details, and I wouldn't share those even if I did. But I think that from a perspective of a developer, it's really rough when you put your heart and soul into a game, and that there's so many moving pieces that are in that, and so many people's jobs that are online, that no matter what your product is, right? Like you're putting all that time and effort into it and money, and that's a lot of people's jobs. Like it's just really rough.
Yeah.
You always hope that when you launch a game that it's going to do well. I mean, you can predict how well it's going to do, and then something like that can just come along and just crush you, and you're just like, well, now I think that a smart choice would have been to kind of look at the products that are going to be launching around the time frame that you want to launch your game, and choosing smart launch times is probably going to be the key thing. That the only problem is that there's so many games launching all the time. Like it's hard to how do you decide like when to launch it, right?
Yeah, and
I just throw a wild card at you and be like, oh, we heard you're going to launch here. Now we're going on our launch date, and you're just.
This is going to sound really out of left field, but the fact that Horizon Zero Dawn launched right before Zelda, and I know they seem very disparate, but they're both giant open world character action driven games about a confluence of old fantasy and new school sci-fi. Like those are very specific themes that came together in this one spot in the space of a week.
Yeah.
It's like an illusionist prestige kind of thing all of a sudden.
Maybe the secret ending is they're both in the same world.
Oh.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Damn it. Why'd you have to spoil? I'm going to throw the
I think the difference between those two is they're hitting a different audience of people. Not necessarily like the two types of audience aren't playing the same. They wouldn't play the same game, but they're more like single type player games where you can like buy it and then play it when you want type of thing.
Yeah.
Instead of where like Overwatch and Battleborn are really multiplayer driven, so you're going to have other people to play with, and it's rough when all your friends are playing Overwatch. You're like, well, I guess.
Yeah.
I think any PvP oriented game and competitive oriented game that directly derives content based around other people is going to be hard.
especially if you're For Honor.
See, like, we're going to have a little bit of a For Honor section later, whether you like it or not. So let's talk about it then.
All right. Let's talk about Xbox Game Pass. So this is the part
Before we talk about that, I got a bone to pick with the Xbox One.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
I don't know if it's because
your Netflix machine?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if it's because I just like there were literally like 2 years when I didn't turn it on. Yeah. And I'm not trying to start this circle jerk of like, you know, was there anything to play on it? It's more just like
Halo, and that's it.
Halo was too.
I'm disappointed in you. I'm so disappointed in you. I'm just gonna say that.
But like, I didn't turn it on for 2 years. What happened, and now it doesn't like to turn on. Like every time I turn it on, it goes like, you know, hey, we're not going to turn us off and turn us back on again. And then I turn it off and turn it back on. And after like 6 attempts, it's like, all right, now you can get to Netflix. It's actually bad at getting to Netflix.
I can hear it now. Just being like, oh, now you want to turn me on, motherfucker?
Exactly.
I 100% agree.
You know,
with
Ryan,
you.
it takes a little time. You gotta like.
You can't just go for it right away.
Turn it on so quickly like that.
No,
trying to start it like a lawnmower.
You're right. You're right, though, man. It kind of is a big old piece of shit. Like the longer I have it, it seems like the worse it does it navigating through its own dashboard, which doesn't seem like a problem it should be having. But like every time I boot it up, I feel like I have to restart it to actually get an app to launch. It's ridiculous.
There's a sunk cost. Like I was probably never gonna get my money's worth out of the console, but I was like, you know what? It's a Netflix machine. I can live with it.
Right.
Now I'm actually like, it's less work, or at least less annoying, to hook my laptop up directly to the TV with an HDMI cable than it is to turn on the box and then hit the Netflix button.
Yeah, man.
This is like a gross misunderstanding probably of how this is actually working, but I'm imagining this is an incredibly powerful PC that's attached to your TV, and yet it can't run its own 2D UI.
Yeah.
What? Like, how does that happen?
Anyway,
the OG Xbox 360s that red ringed.
Yeah.
After like 2 years.
I feel like it's some kind of like, also, like security on the Xbox One is a lie. My wife is, my wife is a 95-pound Korean woman, and I am not a 95-pound Korean woman.
Yeah.
In case that's not clear.
We know that, yeah.
So they let you sign in with like your Kinect silhouette. Yeah. They will let me sign in as her without me even asking to sign in. They're just like, hey, Kate. And I'm like, yep, you got me.
You got me. It's Kate. Glasses, no hair, and all.
Yeah, it's a spitting image. So, like, I don't know. I don't mean to just. It really could be because like maybe the circuit's just degraded or atrophied somehow from not being turned on.
You can open it up and find out what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to.
That's even more work for Netflix.
Anyway, Xbox Game Pass got announced today. It's a new subscription service on the Xbox One.
Again, all games I already almost own.
For $10 a month, subscribers can play more than 100 Xbox One and Xbox 360 games via backwards compatibility. A list of known included titles: Fable 3, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Halo 5 Guardians, NBA 2K16, Payday 2, Soul Calibur 2, Mega Man Legacy Collection. Not a lot of surprises on there. Kind of what you would expect as far as the
Soul Calibur 2?
The old Xbox catalog goes. Yeah, man. That was kind of peppered in there, yeah.
My other coworker and I were both like, I really like Soul Calibur. But I was like, I already own it, though, so why would I play? Like, that's the thing is that, like, most of those games, other than obviously Halo and Gears and I think a few other ones, like, they're already things that you probably already own and are playing and have played in other platforms, so... I don't mind this as an offering. I think it's decent. Like I think there's quite a few people who probably don't have a very expansive library that may be inclined to do something like this. You know, one of my coworkers made a good point on that. Is he was saying that he thinks it's good for maybe like the younger crowd of people who maybe haven't played those games because they are a little bit older. So I think if you're like more family oriented and it's kind of like an easy thing for you to buy and trust that your kids, okay, there you go, you got like 100 games, go play it type of thing. So I could see that perspective. I'm just I'm not in that perspective, nor do I want to have children. So
at least $10 is a decent price for it, right? I mean,
I can understand it for a family, right? Like, it makes sense. Yeah.
I can certainly think back to like 12-year-old me. That's obviously a much different time now, which is weird that that's A, 15 years ago, and B, so completely completely disparate to the current.
Before Bear was a bear, he was a cub.
The little baby. But yeah, like, just going to Blockbuster and getting 1 or 2 games a month at most, it was like that was the extent of my experience. So this would have been great for me at that age to be like, oh yeah, I can play 100 video games in a month. That sounds fucking awesome. Let's do it. So yeah, I certainly see the value in a lot of circumstances for this. And it's sadly like you start off by doing the ripping on Xbox bit, which is completely valid in my experience too, but this is more or less like this is the exciting stuff coming out of the Xbox front. Unfortunately, with the news from the other domains, it's a little underwhelming. But
this is the exciting stuff.
It's like their exclusives got canceled. That's the problem.
Oh, literally one exclusive got canceled.
The one that everybody was looking forward to.
It's like, I mean, again, I don't want to just go down the circle jerk of Xbox One is bad, but like if your console works, then that's a start.
Isn't that the opposite of a circle jerk? I don't know.
Like a jerk circle? That's what the show normally is.
Actually, we're a circle of jerks. Totally makes sense.
I just I just want it to turn on properly.
You're setting a really low bar for it.
Low bar.
Maybe that's why I'm not as annoyed by Uplay as everybody else, because I'm like, well, at least like on the 3rd attempt it works. Whereas in Xbox, it's anywhere from the 1st attempt to like the 15th. So,
you know how I was going on and on about how I wanted to move all my Rock Band stuff over to Xbox One, and then that was like the primary reason I wanted to get one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I finally got around to doing that the other day, and it turns out you can't move anything over except for Rock Band 3.
No.
None of the DLC, none of the Rock Band Network. Like, the whole point, they just stopped supporting it.
Oh, it sucks.
Or it's, I guess, still in development out in space somewhere. I don't know.
They gotta get another GoFundMe to get that working.
I can't really complain because, like, they sent me the whole kit and everything for nothing. But it's like I really was excited to play my favorite songs again on this.
I miss that, man. Did you ever get into Rock Band back in the day, Maggie?
I didn't really get into it as much, but I do have the set, and a lot of my coworkers were. They're really into it. I was like, I'll play my real guitar.
Oh, yeah, show them up.
Mm-hmm. I was an elitist in that sense, but like I have played quite a bit of Rock Band.
Oh, yeah.
And that was a tangent. I mean, that wasn't Xbox's fault. It wasn't Microsoft's fault. It was the Harmonix, really. But
I just call it DDR for my fingers. I don't know.
Cool. Yeah, Xbox Game Pass, it's just a general good thing, even though the Xbox One doesn't work. All right, here we go. Let's do the doozy here. Let's go with Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yeah.
All right. So,
if you haven't played it and you haven't bought it, buy it now and play it now, and that's it. That's done.
Right,
over.
Segment
the show's done.
Cool. Good shit. Tell me about your initial experience, Maggie.
It's gorgeous. First of all, I think that's the first thing that everyone's going to say is you come in and it's beautiful. The gameplay kind of reminds me. It's a mix of various different things, but I like it. I think it's fun. I think it's straightforward. The story's really neat. So far, I have lots of questions. I don't want to spoil things, so I don't want to ask the questions here, but I have lots of them. I have not played probably as many hours as some of you guys have, because I like I said, I have a full-time job, so I haven't gotten.
Wow.
Because I have things to do. So
I meant a full-time job that doesn't let me play games. Games of my choice, I guess, is more so the case. So I haven't gotten to play as much, but I think it's definitely fantastic so far.
Mm-hmm. I love the look of it. I love that they had the foresight to include a photo mode as well, so I could just gush over it for hours because
It's really pretty.
oh, it's a good looking game, man. It blows me away that they can make games look this good on the PS4. I tweeted this last night, but apparently this runs on the new engine that Guerrilla made for Until Dawn. Kojima's going to be using that in his new game as well. I forget what it's called. It's the Dissidia engine or something like that. But yeah, so this is a brand new engine that they've recently made, and it definitely shows because holy shit, this game looks fantastic.
Beautiful.
You know, I got to say the foundation of what I think makes the game for me is, in addition to the stuff you just mentioned, the premise itself is enough for me to actually want to get really involved in it. It's rare these days that you come up with a premise that's like, oh, that's actually kind of unique and also mysterious. You can usually kind of figure things out in about 10 seconds of reading the story beats. And this one, I kind of don't know where it's going, and I'm excited to see, which keeps me involved. I mean, that's like the most obvious thing, but it's just so rare.
I feel like the last game that gave me the same feels that this game is giving me is Journey, and I don't know how many other people have played that.
I love Journey.
If you haven't played Journey, you can literally play that game in 45 minutes, but it is 45 minutes hella worth spent. Like, it is such a good game. And I think, like, it gives me that same vibe, not only because it's beautiful, but because it's, like, really thought-provoking. And even though that game has, like, way less content, I think, like, it just gives me that same feel. Like, I don't know if I'm going to be satisfied at the end of this game because I don't know what the story is like at the end, so I can't give you, like, the overarching feel. But so far, I really, really like it.
It's going to be a cliche and predictable comparison, but I got a serious Skyrim vibe the moment I began walking out into the open world. Like, I got that
moment where there's that waterfall, I was like, this is Skyrim. We're in Skyrim.
Yeah. Like, it really gave me that sense of wonder that Skyrim gave me 5 years ago. Like, wow, this is a beautiful world that I really want to explore. Like, this is really engaging and interesting. And the character, like, Aloy is great. I love Aloy. I think she's a fantastic character. Perfect lead for this.
Can she just be my... Bye, Brian. I think I found my love.
Yeah, she's excellent. I love, all the characters you meet at the start. The voice acting is really good, exceptionally good.
I think Ashley Birch is the voice actress for it. And I've actually watched a couple of her interviews. She does Tiny Tina and a couple other people. So she has some big names underneath her already. But she's just, like, the way she talks about how she got into the character and how she feels about the character and the story and, like, the voice that she was looking for the character is really cool. So
that's
definitely
awesome.
Worth watching a couple of those interviews if you haven't.
That's cool, yeah. And the writing, of course, does assist that as well. Like, all the characters, they absolutely seem like they belong there and they have their role in what's going on, and it all feels completely, believable. It feels like this world exists without you, and it's extremely satisfying to just see, to just partake in. It's cool. I love it. I could gush more unless anybody else wants to take the stage.
Phrasing.
I feel like I talked a lot.
Sure.
I'll chime in because I've played a little bit of it so far.
Sure.
And I want to preface this by saying, chat, relax before I say anything.
Oh, here we go. When is it coming to PC?
No.
MathasGames.
No, that has nothing to do with PC.
Oh, no,
I think
I
the
agree,
game.
Mathas. It would be so good on PC.
Oh, of course it would.
Oh,
I
God, it would
agree
be
with you.
so much. You could play it at it would look so much better. If
I
you could play
booted it up, and like 30 minutes in, I was like, "Wow, these hair physics look great. I wonder if it's NVIDIA." And I went to the start menu, and I was, "Oh wait, no, that doesn't make any sense."
They did a great job though for it being on PS4 though.
Yeah.
Like it could be so much better, but it looks really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
What were you gonna say, Mathas?
Yep.
The game is gorgeous. It's good. It's a very good game. The world is intriguing as hell. I actually really love this post-apocalyptic world that they've got going. The robot animals are just really cool. The combat is really good. But for me, the issue lies, it's a good game. It's a good game. I'm laying that out there.
Mathas, do you think it's a good game?
It's a great game.
Mathas thinks it's a good game.
It is still no different than most of like Ubisoft's open world games. It trods the same paths of climbing towers and collecting things and doing side quests that don't really mean anything.
I think I agree with you. Like, the gameplay is like Lara Croft.
Oh yeah.
The gameplay for me is like, it's good gameplay, but it's nothing. It's the same. We've done it 1,000 times, and maybe it's because like I said before we started the podcast, like I've played this style of game 30 or 40 fucking times over the past 5 years, and like I'm just kind of sick of this same open world formula that we get again and again, which is what I'm afraid of when I'm going into Zelda as well.
I gotta tell you, you're gonna see it in Zelda too.
Yeah, and that's my fear. Is
I've
like
been climbing radio towers in Zelda.
Oh, God.
I mean, they're not literally radio towers, but they may as well be.
But it's a good game. It's just for me, I got bored of it after like 5 or 6 hours. I'm like, I've played this game with different skins before. The last open world game that had this formula that actually hooked me for a while was actually Shadow of Mordor, because they had the Nemesis system on top of it. And I was like, oh, that actually makes that formula a little different, and I can play this for longer.
The slow-mo head rolls.
Oh yeah, that slow-mo head rolls were great.
I still haven't played Shadow of Mordor, and everybody keeps talking about the Nemesis system. Can you like just quickly summarize? I know I definitely need to play it.
So the Nemesis system is pretty simple. Your character can't die. Like through the lore, when he gets killed, he'll come back.
Yeah.
But if a random orc kills you in the game, it'll do like a zoom up, it'll give him a name, and he will now exist in the world as a captain who killed you.
Right.
And now you have like a vendetta against him, and he can go up in the ranks and become more and more powerful. Or you could like control him and enslave him and make him your slave to do your bidding. It's just like a cool, it adds like a layer of emergent storytelling.
Yeah.
In a AAA game.
Sure.
Yes, that's where Dick Fuck the Donk Smasher meme comes from.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a shame because I think I would have loved this game 5 years ago, like before I played 1,000 Assassin's Creeds and every other Ubisoft open world game.
The fact that a game like that is so similar to all these types of games, it is. You're naming all the games that I actually, while we're playing it, we were all naming all of them as the same. We even thought at parts like it kind of reminded us of Firewatch. So I think like being able to like compare it to some of these really, really awesome games within those genres, that is great that it can do that after so many years, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's because some of us haven't finished it yet. Maybe we're going to change our minds as we play through it. But I think that's kind of like a cool, refreshing thing to see that somebody can make a product that's similar to all these products, and it can still revive the heart of what gaming is for people. In my opinion. I feel like we've done the same thing with MMOs, right? We've seen a million of the same MMOs, but when are we going to get that MMO again where we're like, oh, this gives me like the EQ feels, right? Or, oh, this gives me what it felt when I was playing Ashen's Call, or whatever that nostalgia is for you, right?
Yeah, to echo that sentiment too, like Sam Strippin, we all know Sam, actually tweeted this about his experience with it, that like, games like this, they kind of have to charm you to really get you invested enough to go through the motions. Like, especially Mathas, like if you've played 30 or 40 of these games, you know, like you've got to have kind of a better intrinsic reason to want to move forward than the gameplay cycle, right? Because that's not as satisfying to you anymore. And I think this game has that charm, honestly, and I think it's mostly the presentation, the character. Well, it's really not even mostly anything. It's the fact that the complete package is, like you said, is so incredibly well polished. Like, they do everything really well, and on top of that, they take the elements of all of these incredible games that we all love, like The Witcher and Skyrim and all these wonderfully renowned open world experiences. They take a lot of the best elements of those games and they do them extremely well in this. Like, it's a lot of things that we've seen before, like you mentioned, just done in a unique and interesting way and done extremely well.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm aware that it's a good game and it's a polished game. I'm actually more excited that Guerrilla, the developer, actually finally has like an amazing game under the belt, because like the Killzone games is what they're mostly known for, and those are like, they're all right. But I'm excited for them to actually have like this really landmark title under their belt. Mm-hmm. That's my opinion on Horizon Zero Dawn.
Good. I really could go on for a while, honestly. Like, I'm pretty infatuated with this. This is the last time I really remember feeling this excited about a game was probably The Witcher 3, which, I think we're all kind of on the same page there too.
How many hours have you put into
only 6 or 7 for Horizon. Sorry, I cut you off. Horizon, right?
You said 6 or 7?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I need to do more. I'm probably going to play more tonight, in fact, but I've been doing it on stream, so I've been trying to keep myself from playing off camera. I don't want to
Dude, open world games, you can't play them on stream.
I know, I'm starting to learn that, man.
It's too much.
Yeah.
There's too much content in
these 2 or 3 hour blocks I'm trying to play through this game, and it's going to take me like 2 months to get through the goddamn thing. So yeah, it's going to
trying to do a YouTube series on Skyrim. Like, how?
It's like trying to play through The Witcher 3 once a week, 3 hour streams.
Yeah, I don't know.
You did Fallout, man. Well, props to you. You knocked out Fallout.
New Vegas, also. Fallout 4, GTA 5, Skyrim. Yeah.
You do all the sandbox games. I don't know how you do it.
Do you just ignore a lot of the side stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
The storyline.
Mm-hmm.
If the side stuff's good, I do it. But in an open world game, you play tennis once. I'm like, I don't need to play tennis every 15 minutes.
Right.
It's a different story, though.
Well, yeah, because you get cards and stuff for that. So
I also don't care at all about 100% completion. Like, if anything, I wear it as like a badge of shame. So to complete a game with like an 80% completion is pretty much like my platonic ideal for an open world game.
You and Greg Miller are like the complete opposite in that domain. He's all about getting those platinum trophies, and you're like, all right, here we go.
That's too much.
Northernlion, the completionist channel, going to start.
As a gamer with a full-time job, I don't have time for that sort of stuff.
No, I mean, you make a good point, though. I think that what happens in those open world games where like you really want to play it, but as like a streamer or a YouTuber, what do you call it? Like the interest rate of those people, how are they going to stay there play for 180 hours? I mean, it depends on how invested they are in it, right?
I think, Ryan, not to jerk you off, but you do a good job in keeping the people entertained that way. You get silly like in-jokes that will run the whole thing, like the Dad Squad from New Vegas.
Right,
and that keeps them entertained because bringing people into the Dad Squad, and it's funny for the stream. If you can have something like that running through, then I think it's a good way.
Yeah,
thank you, Mathas. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem, baby. No problem.
You're definitely right, though, Maggie, in that like the general. I really don't have a word for it either.
The gist of the core gameplay ultimately culminates in minutia. Like after you've seen the majority of the narrative of the story, like you do the same loop 100 times in slightly different contexts. And if you don't have something to say over all of that, you're essentially just broadcasting copies. So you got to have something to bring to it.
But yeah,
I'm never gonna live that down. I'm so sorry.
With a full-time job
I
comment.
meant that my full-time job doesn't let me.
We're just mining it for humor now.
No, like every time I'm like, oh, I haven't finished the game yet. The chat's just like full-time job.
All right. Let's get into me gushing more about Horizon in a different category of conversation.
All right.
Using that word.
I will not. It's Game of the Month time. Game of the Month for February, boys and girls. Our Game of the Month segment, a new thing we're trying to do to get a better gauge of how we like games throughout the year. And let's do it, man. We need no further explanation. Let's start with Maggie. Maggie, what was your favorite game in February?
I'm like going back and looking at like all the games that I played in February.
Do keep in mind that Horizon Zero Dawn technically released on February 28th.
Can I call it my favorite when I haven't gotten to play it that much?
Oh, absolutely, you can. I call Pit People my favorite game of January. I played like 2 hours of that at that point.
Okay.
Also, like version 0.0
in the early access. Yeah.
I would say that right now, Horizon Zero Dawn is the best game that I've played in February. Mm-hmm. It's definitely a fantastic all-around game. Like I said, it has graphics, it has gameplay. I know the gameplay isn't super unique to anything, but it is definitely gameplay that's solid. I haven't run into any bugs yet, so that's nice. Mm-hmm. And I just think overall the story and the character progression seems really cool. Like I said, I just haven't gotten to the end of it, so I don't know if I'm still going to share those feels. It'll be interesting to see what I think about it when I get to the end or even the middle.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm definitely loving that game. It's fantastic. So that would have to be my game of the month.
Hell yeah. Nick.
Hollow Knight. Easy. I'm still working on the 100%. I'm like 86% through it now. I've got 30-something hours.
Working on your badge of shame.
I don't see it. I like it. I like the completionist stuff, personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I am more literally are badges in that. So if you want to look at it that way, I guess. Just a fantastic platformer, Metroidvania in general, possibly one of the best in my opinion. I still hold it up there with Ori and the Blind Forest and Super Metroid. Like I think it's actually that good.
Yeah, I heard you talking about this last episode, and it did look really pretty.
Yeah,
Ori and the Blind Forest is so good.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I like teared up at the beginning of that game, even.
Mhm.
Like, what? Also, I
And
stuck it.
what's really getting me too is the sort of parallel story that's coming out now in the sort of post game, because I got an ending and then I kept playing it for an additional 10 hours, and now it's sort of going somewhere else, which I'm very
That's
interested
cool.
in seeing where that goes. Plus, there were just like a ton of more power ups that I didn't even know were in the game. Just like new NPCs I missed and all kinds of I think there's like 3 or 4 zones I never found. So the game is freaking massive, and for $15, like, you couldn't really argue with the value per dollar if you're interested in that kind of game. Plus, the soundtrack is fantastic too. You should get the soundtrack too with it.
$15
That's
is
my
not
favorite.
bad.
Ryan, how about you?
So,
I know where this is going.
yeah. For Honor is my game of the month, and it's a really good game, and people are sleeping on it because the experience overall is pretty mixed. The game is great, and I'm not trying to just... if we're asking what is the product of the month, what is the best thing to buy?
Yeah.
That's a different spectrum. The actual gameplay of For Honor is like, I'm so into it. I mean, people make fun of me for how much I played it, but I've only played like 18 hours since launch. It came out like 3 weeks ago.
That's a lot for you, though, man.
It is a lot for me to invest in a single
It's
game at
not
this
much,
point. in
but
my life.
yeah.
So like, I'm very into For Honor. The game is great, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was like on the top 10 of my year at the end of the year. Uplay is horrible. The decisions that they made to balance the game around gear and to focus on Dominion mode and stuff like that they're really short-sighted. But the actual one-on-one or two-on-two gameplay is amazing. So
Did you play through the single player stuff at all?
no, and I played through the first mission and I was like, it's garbage.
It's really bad.
Yeah,
Like-
it's not
I was
good.
just curious about your opinion because you clearly are a fan of it. I like the combat style. Like you said, it's really good. I want to see it in VR. No, I'm going to keep saying it.
I think this is going to be one of those games that, I mean, there's two ways I see it going. One is that Ubisoft supports it and it kind of gets like a better reputation similar to Rainbow Six Siege. Or people forget about it, and then in like 8 years, I'm going to be this guy with get off my lawn sort of discourse where I'm like, I liked it when it came out. And everybody else is like, why didn't they make a sequel to that? That was really cool, but underappreciated at launch.
It's
And
like me with Too Human.
I
I'm
were
the
like-
only one that liked that game.
Mirror's Edge or something like that. Like Mirror's Edge came out, people were like, I'm not spending $60 on this. It's only 2 hours long. And then 4 years later, everybody was like, oh my God, Mirror's Edge was the most creative IP ever released. by
Hardcore.
EA Games. Yeah, it's
Fuck
like,
it with a sequel.
and then they made the sequel worse. So yeah, like, I really like.
You know what we need? We need an open world in Mirror's Edge. That's what we need.
Do we?
I'm with you actually. For the open, no, that's what they did in the second game.
Yeah.
I'm with you. For Honor was probably my game of the month, February. There weren't that many games that I played. I fucking hate For Honor, but I like For Honor a lot as well. For all the reasons that you kind of listed. You play as garbage. Dominion is garbage. Gear is garbage.
That's so
peer-to-peer.
many parts
For
of
Honor's-
the game that
For
are
Honor's a
garbage.
great
How
game.
No,
Here's
it's
all the
so
stuff
many
that
parts-
sucks.
So many parts of the product is garbage. It is a bad
I
product.
think you see the potential in it, but not the
That is-
actual product.
yeah.
The
I
game.
agree.
I see the game.
The
gameplay. The gameplay, I think, is great. There's just a lot of nonsense around it. I think this is like a game where I'm like, it's the sum. It's more than the sum of its parts, as opposed to.
Brian, as you're saying that, like, I mean, I'm curious what the development team is thinking. I mean, they obviously have to be looking at the feedback. I'm sure the community manager is compiling all this. And what you said and what Mathas said are things that I've heard from, like, so many people. So I'm wondering if they're, like, going to take all of that and come back and be like, all right, this is a new mode that I think all of you guys are going to like. And maybe it'll be, like, 2v2 map or something. That'd be
Well,
sick.
they
I
need
don't
like
know.
a final destination map.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need like a map with no ledges, no spikes, no
That's what you guys are
geysers.
telling me. It's like everybody that's complaining is
fire.
just complaining about everything but like the one trusted, honorable version of
Actually,
combat.
no,
right?
actually playing it
Yeah.
in one mode is fantastic. But that mode is like enough. It's not like WarioWare. You're just doing paper planes over and over and being like, this is a good use of like $50. But I really think that Chad had a good analogy, and that matches my feeling. Basically, is like it's really good food in a restaurant that has like shitty clientele and decor and no parking and it's not near mass transit and maybe it's
you're making it a lot worse.
But the food is really good.
And paper plates.
And exactly.
Paper plates.
I think when you actually get into it, it's all worth it in the end. And the fact that it's that the stuff that is bad, at least you can recover from that. Like you can't take a game.
You just take a bite out of it, and you're just
exactly
it removes you from all of that, right?
You can't take a game that's like poorly designed, but presented really nicely, and be like, oh well, they can make it better. Like that game is screwed. It's fundamentally flawed from its genesis. For Honor, I think, is a great little nugget or pearl in like a clam buried in manure at the bottom of the Marianas Trench. Like James Cameron could pull it out and then they could make it better. Will they? I don't know, but it's a game.
Make For Honor great again. No, just I think that like the thing is that like the moment-to-moment gameplay is just so good that we'll see what they do on the macro gameplay for it.
Yeah,
get rid of the macro.
Yeah, get rid of the macro.
They have done. They've already done some stuff. Like people were like, why? If I only want to play 1v1s, why? Or 1v1s times the number of players that I have in my party. Why am I doing this like deathmatch mode that you have to queue for to also get into that? So they separated out the deathmatch mode where you respawn from like the survival game mode, which is like, duh. But like at least they've done it. So I hope that they're looking at this and they're like, we have something good. The player base has dwindled, but not as much. I think.
How
as
is it now?
It's not bad. Like you don't queue for very long. Yeah, but like people look at the graph, and I'm so wary of like we go, oh, it's lost 75% of its players in 3 weeks,
which every game does.
Exactly. Without context, what does that matter? Like it could be worth that could be really bad, or it could be great, especially considering how strong February has been. But there's like a lot of there's a lot of things to improve, and I hope they find it worth investing. We'll see what happens because, I mean, they're a huge company, but Wildlands comes out in like 4 days. So
Wildlands has failed to impress every time I've tried to play that game.
Oh, really?
There's a huge group of people who are real into it, though.
I like it a lot, man. I want to play more.
We're going to see how that goes.
All right.
Bear, come play The Division with me. I'll play that.
It's kind of the same. Well, I don't know how many of you guys have gotten to play PlayerUnknown's Battleground.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I'm worried about like what is their space in all of this, because it's so similar to like H1Z1 and like, I mean, it gives me more armor feels than anything, but I'm also just like, how do they think they're going to compete? I don't know.
I'm not a fan of that whole genre, to be
like
honest.
survival FPS.
The King of the Kills are not my cup of tea, to be honest. Mostly because of the.
Me too, actually.
Yeah, it's just the downtime is crazy for me, man. I can't handle it, but yeah, clearly it's
downtime. You just leave when the game is over. When you die, you leave.
Well, I'm talking about like when I've got a squad that I'm teaming up with of these clowns, these jokers, and I jump in a game with them and I die in 30 seconds, and I spend the rest of the time waiting for them to clean house and win.
It's like you just need to get good there.
That's the problem, and that's the problem with For Honor too. Is that I can actually see with For Honor that is definitely a good game. However, I suck at it, therefore it sucks.
Oh, it brings the salt out of me so bad.
That's probably entertaining to watch.
I rage so easily with For Honor. It pisses me off.
I heard, oh man, in the semifinals, I think that was getting to you a little bit, wasn't it? You got a little bit of that old Dota 2 rage.
I was sick of fucking his goddamn Orochi bullshit.
There's just something about like, beating someone really, really badly in this video game. Like you're overpowering them, you're outsmarting them, and you're like we both know it. Like it happens sometimes as well, but it's very like.
Or there's the other side where you and I are doing twos, and then they kill me, or you kill one of them, and then the dude reses his friend after he's dead, and just they tag team you. It's like, oh, this is a good time.
It's war, man. It's total war. There's no rules. Bring out the mustard gas. Like
who's dominating the territories right now, man? Who's got control?
See, that is another thing that is just stupid.
Oh yeah, who gives a shit about
somebody should have
like,
just been like, don't do this.
Right?
Yeah, like the meta game.
Yeah.
The swords come down, and then the axes come down, and then the other swords come.
It's just the thing that stops you from getting back into a match.
Exactly.
It's like there's no point to it at all.
It
You
should
haven't
not
played
take
for
you-
7 hours.
It should not take you 30 seconds and like 12 clicks to get back to the queue. Like, the game is great. Stop putting up like these barricades. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that game needs like 4 menu options. Right now, there's like 100, but it needs like play, Dominion, not Dominion. How many players are in your party? Like, we're good to go. That's it. I don't care the samurai are going to take over the Viking lands. Like, it has no meaningful
They should
impact.
just have like a ticker, like a news ticker at the bottom.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Tells you the percentage.
You know, there's like 10 people out there who are really into it.
Like that's their life. They're like that guy at PAX that was so into Steel Battalion.
Or the people at E3 that were like freaking out over Persona 5.
Yes. Like, they're super
A lot
fans.
of people like that game.
Yeah, we're not. I don't want this to become a list
Mathas,
of
what the hell,
fuck you
man?
for
No,
liking this thing.
Oh my god, my example's being
Why would
taken
you
out of
bring that up?
I'm
context.
like, Ryan just got you to the bus here. Wait, no.
Welcome to
Yeah.
Just fuck Mathas. It's all
Yeah,
that
there we
matters.
go. Speaking of which, that is your game of the month, right? Is For Honor, Mathas?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
cool.
So, For Honor canonically must be the game of the month.
Hey now,
So-
hold on. We've got a split decision here because I
Yeah, it's
myself.
2v2 right now.
Well, no, we got actually. Hold on, we got
Way to
one.
throw your vote away, Nick,
we
by
got-
giving an honest choice.
If this is democracy. No, I'm just kidding.
So I've
I
got
voted independent. Sorry.
I've got some sway here though because while I have not actually played Hollow Knight myself, I have vicariously experienced a handful of it, and I definitely know I like it a lot already. However, I want to give an honorable mention real quick to Neo because I know none of you have played it yet, right? Or Maggie, have you played Neo?
No, I played it.
Oh, you did play it.
I've,
Okay.
I've watched a lot of it because I watched play it a lot
Mhm.
because I've been watching it while I was at work. It looks interesting.
I'm really surprised you guys didn't want to jump on that train because you guys have been a lot more into Dark Souls than I have in the past, so I figured this would be right up your alley.
That
However,
requires me booting up my PS4.
yeah, I know, man. It's
You
so
know,
damn hard.
It's funny. I saw so many comparisons to Dark Souls, and I found that the combat played a little bit more like a Legacy of Kain than Dark Souls. It's a little bit more hack and slashy,
I
It's
can't.
very
although I didn't
hack
get
and
super
slashy.
far.
Yeah, it is. I can't speak to Legacy of Kain, but I can say that it's a little less Dark Soulsy as far as the combat goes, but like the overall theme, feel, and as you're progressing through the world, it definitely gives you that vibe. But Neo is extremely good, man. We are getting a lot of very, very good games, which is awesome. Extremely exciting. But Neo deserves some praise, some love here in February. However, I do want to give the nod still to Horizon because, like I mentioned, I really have kind of become infatuated with it, and I don't get that experience very often anymore. With how many games I'm playing these days, like like Mathas said, it kind of just can easily become another run-of-the-mill experience. But I'm intrigued with this. I am really invested and interested in the characters and the story. I want to see what happens. I want to see what Aloy's deal is. I want to see what this world holds, and I want to explore more of it. So I am really enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to playing more. So yeah, Horizon gets the nod for me too.
2017 is going to be an interesting year.
It
I'm
is.
excited.
It's already an interesting.
It's so front loaded. What if there's just nothing? Well, we've got Red Dead at the end of the year, right?
We're hitting this is like the peak of things is going to happen.
Yeah.
So
Is
we got
it,
a lot
though?
going on still.
We've
And then
got,
December is another boost whenever people.
Rhyme is this year. Chasm's supposed to come out this year. I mean, not AAA, but
yeah,
stuff
we've
I'm
got-
excited for.
South Park, Fractured Butthole.
Oh God, yes, the new South
Yes.
Park. Of course, we got Nier Automata is coming out pretty soon on PC.
Nier
as well.
Automata's coming out PC. That's so
Yeah,
exciting.
that is really exciting too. And then we got, of course, the Super Mario Odyssey, Breath of the Wild here. We got Wildlands coming up soon. There's a lot of
Mass Effect Andromeda comes out in
Mass
like
Effect
2 weeks.
Andromeda. Jesus,
God,
yeah.
I
Oh my
want to
God.
be excited about that.
These are all
I
like, think
hope
about
it's good.
how big
Yeah, I'm with
all
ya.
these games are. These are all huge games, man. Like Neo
Yooka-Laylee.
is massive. Ukulele, yeah, shit. Like that probably won't be like
Wow.
a big game, but not,
You know, what this is we're reaping the benefits of all of these projects that started 5 years ago. They're all hitting at the same moment.
They're all finishing, and now 2018 is going to be barren because nobody's working on anything anymore. They're all being finished.
No, there's always a new project going to be started. I will let you know. Most of those companies end up having like 20, 30 products that just get thrown away, and then they keep cycling through. So.
Don't forget new Shadow of Mordor in August as well.
Oh my God!
I am excited for that.
That's literally the first I've ever heard that, actually.
Oh, you didn't know? Yeah.
This week, and then they were like, "Well, we might as well just announce it."
Yep.
Shadow of War.
Shadow of War.
Sorry.
Injustice 2 is coming out this year too, and I'm excited for that too.
Well, okay, I don't.
Really?
You're not excited for Injustice 2? I liked Injustice 1 a lot.
I liked Injustice as well, but.
To be honest, I don't think we should really have a positive opinion about anything that hasn't come out yet. So
that's true. We don't want to rack up the hype machine.
We can just say that we're excited, okay, Bear? Don't ruin our happiness.
I just want to point out they're throwing the shade at me because I'm the guy who's always like, it's just a trailer. But then when it came time to predict the Metascore for Horizon Zero Dawn, all these people who were like, it's going to change the world. We're like, I think it's going to be like a 72. And I was like, that's got 88 written all over it. And it's at like 89 right now.
He called it, yeah.
Wait, was that me that said it's going to change the world? Because you're mischaracterizing me if that's the case.
I might have said that. I might have said something like that.
Mining it for a little.
It's going to change the world, just like the Last Guardian.
Last Guardian did. That's right. Did you play The Last Guardian, Maggie?
Come on, too soon.
Did you play that, though?
I watched it.
Okay.
And I mean, yeah.
All right.
Not as satisfactory as I would hope.
My review on that game as well.
It's like,
It
exists.
I mean,
it's so sad. It still hurts me.
Really like it. I liked it. It was okay from watching, because I watched a friend play through it. So
I think as I separate myself more from it, I think my impression of it becomes a lot more, or like my criticisms are a lot softer of it because I'm a lot further removed from the emotional response. But yeah, it is still just if only X, Y, and Z could have been improved. But then
the bird, whatever his name is, like, I just can't get over how many weird ass buggy shit with things they had with that. Like the gameplay was revolved around it, and it was so buggy, and I was just like, I can just see the frustration in my friend playing it, and I'm just like, why? When you have that being like one of the core elements of gameplay, it just drives me nuts. Like I can't imagine from like a game designer perspective being able to be like, I'm content with this launching.
Well, it could have been we need to recoup some costs now because this project might just be canceled if not.
Been in development for 10 years.
I mentioned this while we were talking about it months ago, but I remember reading an interview with Fumito Ueda, who said that even he himself experienced a lot of frustrations trying to get Trico to do what he wanted him to do, and he had to like remind himself, like, yes, this is what I want. This is how I want the game to progress. However, he was, like, if the man who invented the damn thing is having those frustrations, you would think that would echo a lot of the...
is he bugging out, or is he just acting like that on purpose because he's an animal?
It's just what a dog does, Yeah. It's not a bug, it's a feature.
Immersion!
Like, no, come here. Where you go? No,
don't fall off the cliff, not Trico. God, come on. But still, I don't want to talk about this for too much longer, but still my favorite part of that game is always going to be when I would be climbing up those pedestals one by one, and I'd be at the last jump. Arbitrarily, he decides, oh, hey, look, that's interesting, turns around, jumps all the way back down before letting me come back up and try to do it again. And yeah, that's The Last Guardian.
Like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
When I was voicing those frustrations, people were telling me, like, you just don't understand how the language works.
Yeah.
You need to learn how to speak the language with Trico, and then you won't have these problems anymore.
Problem one, you listen to the chat. It's bad.
All right. No more Last Guardian. That is...
Or No Man's Sky.
Or No Man's Sky.
We didn't talk about No Man's Sky, but
I actually like No Man's Sky. It's repetitive gameplay, but I'm one of those people who I'm content with just running around and exploring things.
Yeah. Did you play the 1.1 update of it?
I haven't, actually.
I really enjoyed what they did with that.
What you've done, Ryan.
Why? Why did I do this?
I feel like Bear and I would get really... We
have a lot of the same interests, but we're not allowed to be happy in these parts. That's the case. So.
Oh, and no more Resident Evil 7 also, because I talked about it once.
That's true, yeah.
Yep, I remember that.
I've I'm liking Resident Evil 7 so far.
Hey, you know what?
It's awesome.
You know what I didn't include on the docket is Overwatch fixing custom games with a new character on the way, which is exciting for me. But I know.
Remember that like one month we were all really into Overwatch.
Yeah, dude.
I would still play it with you guys. Nobody wants.
I think them fixing custom games is actually a pretty big deal. Like they not only fixed the custom game lobby, but they made it a lot better, and they added server browsers too, which is pretty cool. But yeah, anyway.
The new character's a metal horse. Doesn't McCree get to ride it?
That's a good point. He should. Yeah.
It just makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Overwatch is like a college course where for like a month we were all in a study group together making progress, and like we were right there. We were hitting the class average, and then like blew off class for a couple weeks, and then people were like, hey, you know, class is getting pretty good. You want to come back? And we're like, I've missed too much.
I'm just going to drop out.
Might as well just drop it. Come back.
You know, you guys converted me on Overwatch. When it first was new, I was like, I don't want to play that at all.
Yeah.
And then I'm the only one that still would.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
It's weird.
Anyway.
We'll have to exchange BattleNet accounts. I'll play with you, Nick.
Okay.
Good.
You won't be alone anymore.
You got to play the Division with him too, though. He's gonna.
You don't have to play the Division, but I wouldn't mind it.
I had fun playing the Division, but I liked it more when I was playing with a group of people.
Yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
Especially in like that one, whatever that dark area is that you're supposed to go into.
Mm-hmm.
The
like,
Central Park area.
Yeah, because it's like if you're not with people, you just get wrecked.
Yep.
Or you just befriend people and then you take all their stuff.
Yeah.
You got to take down the biggest, baddest dude in the yard. You got to fuck him up, and then you're the king. All right. On to everybody's favorite segment. It's Ask Roundtable. Ask Roundtable, the weekly segment where you send your questions into roundtableyt@gmail.com, and we do our best to answer them. This one comes from one of our patrons. It's Scroddy119. Hey, Scroddy. It says, with the Oscars just having passed, here's a few movie-related questions. I cherry-picked my favorite among them, which was, do video games make better movies, or do movies make better video games? And here's a couple of other things he asked as well. He said, what do you think is the best crossover between a video game and a movie? And which video game do you guys think has the potential to be made into a movie and to be taken seriously? He also, for Ryan, said for Nick's Weird Games theme song, he'd like a parody of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme, if you can manage that.
It's very verbose.
It is.
But
see what you can do there? Work in progress. All right, so.
Okay, yeah, I got something.
All right, good deal. But for Ask Roundtable, Scroddy asked, do video games make better movies, or do movies make better video games? I like this conversation branch. Who wants to take
Definitely a good thinking question, for sure.
Absolutely.
I mean, most of them are garbaggio, but I'd say movies probably end up making better video games on the whole.
I'd agree
Because
with
I can't
that, yeah.
think of any good video game movies that exist.
Yeah, I think it's more so that most of the people who are creating the movies are not necessarily gamers, and I think that they haven't hit the nostalgia of the games that we love when they make the game, or when they make the movie, if that makes sense. Because I get that same feeling sometimes when I watch marketers marketing a game and they don't play the game.
I think Silent Hill might be the only video game movie that was all right. That I can think of anyway.
That's probably the only one that was okay.
Which ones have you guys seen?
Like
Which ones have you
the movie
guys...
industry gets horror. You know what I mean? They get that aspect.
Sometimes.
I think, like, it's cynically speaking, like, they don't make video games into movies because they're like, this game's got a story that needs to be told. Most of the time, it's like, this is a popular game.
Yeah.
So we've got a built-in audience, and the cost to buy the license is going to be like peanuts for most of it, I think. So
Yeah, but even when you have like thoroughly heavily invested game developers in the movie, you still get Warcraft the movie.
You know,
How bad was Warcraft?
It was like almost not bad.
if you were a huge fan, I think and you get super nerdy into the lore, you probably might not like World of Warcraft. But if you take a step back and you see it as a different medium, I think you can understand how good it is. I actually want to bring this up, and I don't know how many of you guys are going to even remember this. I'm going to go back to Defiance, where I think Defiance, the movie or the TV series, was actually better than the game.
I've heard that, actually.
It kind of gives me like weird Firefly type of vibe, but like not as good.
Defiance, the game was fucking awful.
Yeah, I didn't like the game, but I really did like that TV series.
I knew one person who liked the show, and I knew nobody who liked the game. So I would say it's infinitely better as a show in my anecdotal experience.
100% better.
I feel like, have you seen Max Payne, by the way?
Oh god, so bad. Oh god, it's so
most
bad.
video game movies are horrible. Max Payne, in my opinion, is in it's in that Uwe Boll level of this. I can't believe that this God made. It's actually like.
Is it so bad it's good? Does it come back around?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
There's some weird John Leguizamo has no teeth, and he's in a desert prison colony that Max keeps visiting to get advice for how to.
What?
I mean, it's extremely daring, be the way that you would phrase it if you wanted to.
It's very brave.
Sold.
Yeah.
Watch it right now.
Hitman Agent 47 was fucking awful.
Was
as well.
it, man? I haven't seen any of these, but I see what I hope to see in them, I guess, and I guess it never turns out to be the case.
I feel like it's the same case with other mediums that get crossed. Often I find that I really, really love a book series. For instance, Wheel of Time is finally getting made into a movie, and I'm just dreading the moment when I watch it, and it's going to be terrible. But I'm going to watch it because I own the whole series down there.
Nice.
So I don't know. I feel like every time you try to cross platform, it sometimes just doesn't work out the way that you want it to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my initial gut reaction, is that neither of them work well in either direction. Just because they come across as sort of disingenuous companion pieces instead of their own thing. You can't be passionate about the thing that you have to develop on the side as a way to make extra revenue.
I will say, I think the Telltale game series does a really good job of telling a movie or movies or other comic movie or other mediums into a game. I think that is, but it's very story driven and
very visual novel.
Yeah, it's more like a novel story where you're watching a lot of cutscenes and you're making decisions, and I feel like they do a fantastic job of it. And I think that they're one of the best gaming companies to make that type of game.
Mm-hmm.
Cross genre, or not cross genre, cross mediums content. But I don't know who else has done a good job of that.
We don't have a lot
the new
of
Mad
examples.
Max game was all right.
It was fun. I liked the Mad Max game a lot.
I really liked it. I think a lot of people didn't like it because it's repetitive, but I'm like,
It was
I
super.
just take a harpoon and I grab stuff, and it's awesome.
It's one of those open world games that does everything every other open world game does, but you have a car that you can modify, and you can like you said, you can harpoon people and drag them behind your car.
It's Batman, but in a different whole world, and it's awesome. Instead of a grappling hook, you have a harpoon, and it's sweet.
It's like there's 100 different sandbox games with slightly different flavors, and you really like the one that's your flavor specifically, and you get to root for that one. And I don't know which one I would root for. I kind of like a smattering.
Breath of the Wild.
People are right about Castlevania, though. There is a Castlevania Netflix series.
Oh, there is? Oh.
It's kind of cute.
Oh, God.
I should have known that.
When did that come out?
I think it's pretty old. Isn't it like a cartoony?
Let's see here. I had no idea that even existed. Oh, Castlevania is getting a Netflix animated series.
Oh, okay, that's what's happening.
Apparently, yeah, they're working
Maybe
on one.
it's not old.
There's a Devil May Cry anime. I never watched it, but I heard it exists.
The news is
I heard that it's
That's as
around.
much as
pretty sure I heard
It's
that.
good journalism, Nick. Good journalism.
Yeah. This exists.
There's another part of this that I'm curious to know some answers about. Which video game do you guys think has the potential to be taken seriously if made into a movie? I want to propose one that I think would maybe work out, Firewatch. And I think if you took Firewatch and you turned it into what everybody thought Firewatch was going to be, you could get a great movie out of that.
Or leave the story the same, but just take out 9 out of the 10 red herrings that they throw at you.
Yeah, maybe.
And just make it a serious story.
Right, yeah. But I think that would be a pretty good one. You guys got any ideas there? Video games you think might be taken seriously?
Would it be live action or would it be animated, Bear?
Whatever you want.
I'm just curious which you think would jump
Oh, for
to your
Firewatch.
mind.
Oh,
yeah,
good question. I think it'd be easier to do animated, don't you? I feel like it would be a lot easier to just accept the characters that way, but I don't know. Maybe
I kind of like. I have Henry and Delilah's character etched into my mind as that art style, so I don't know if I would see them the same outside of that.
I could see it being like real life type of.
Who are you casting if that's the case, Maggie?
I don't know, but I can think of like Ranger style like movies, and I can already like kind of visualize it. But it would be more of like a love story, and it would. I think I keep thinking back to like French drama or something like that, which maybe not everyone would be interested in. But I think like a French romance drama would be interesting for that game.
Yeah.
What I would love to see is Life is Strange. I think it would actually be really easy to correlate. Yeah.
Well, I could see that for sure. I would love them to try again on Max Payne because I feel like that's really hard to fuck up. But they did.
It's like every John Woo movie, though, right? Like
just do like a crime noir, action movie.
People are saying Mass Effect, and I would so watch that as a series, not as a movie.
As a series, okay, not as a movie.
Yes, please make it happen.
That would be pretty good, actually.
I need a sci-fi like drama movie series that can.
I was wondering about I was thinking to myself, a Witcher movie. Would I watch that? But then I thought, no, that's got to be a TV series too. I would watch a Witcher TV series.
Yeah, that would have to be a TV series. I mean, I try to do a video of like recapping everything up to like the latest one.
Yeah.
And it was like cramming all that into 2 minutes of a video with like quick animations was like intense.
Yeah, I bet.
I'll let you know.
Can I propose a Studio Ghibli version of Hollow Knight? Because I would love to see that.
Hell yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be awesome.
Cool. Yeah.
I love the characters in Hollow Knight, man. They're all great. I love the animation style of that. It's so
I feel like that's
adorable.
the closest to playing a Miyazaki movie that I've gotten, even though it's still somewhat removed from that. It's got that vibe, though.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Sweet. Those are good suggestions.
There's so many.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I mean, you can take any game that has like a really good overarching story and lots of character development. I think you could just take that and make that into a movie.
Yeah.
But it has to be like the right person to make that movie. I don't know.
I think, like Ryan said, like the majority of these projects are mostly coming from a desire to make some money. So, I don't think a lot of these are coming from the desire to tell a good story. And I hope
you know who?
They do.
Wait. You know who should just stop and make a movie?
Who's that?
Final Fantasy series.
Oh,
just freaking make a movie. You have me
they
car
did.
traveling for 30
I was gonna say they did.
Might
It
as well just
sucked.
Wasn't it? There's
Spirits
like
Within.
two to three movies, I thought.
Yeah, no, Kingsglaive was the one I was talking about.
I was talking about Spirits Within, the one that released on theaters like in the early 2000s.
I heard the Final Fantasy 15 accompaniment movie was not bad, actually. That's Kingsglaive, right?
I heard it was really good if you're like balls deep in the Final Fantasy lore, and if you aren't, you were like, what in the world? This is like, it's exclusively made for enthusiasts, which is, there's nothing wrong with it necessarily,
right?
But,
this is so weird. It's got a 6.9 on IMDb, a 13 on Rotten Tomatoes, but a 93 from Google users. So depending on who you want to trust.
I think they made that game, and I think a couple of my coworkers have mentioned this too, that they made this in the game for more people who have like adult lives, if I could say that the best way possible. Baby screaming,
adult lives, real jobs.
You get in the car, you travel, you go deal with the baby, come back, you're good. Play the game a little bit, go wash the dishes. Like I feel like that's what you just like.
They're giving them the simulator for that.
Doing all these things.
Yeah, I see.
I don't know.
All right. Thank you for the question, Scroddy. Appreciate it, man. And if you want to ask us a question, feel free to send them over to roundtableyt@gmail.com. We will do our best to answer them, include them in future Ask Roundtable segments. For now, it's time for everybody's favorite segment after their favorite segment. It is Nick's Weird Games.
So that would be like, in upstate New York, born and raised, on the shelf is where I keep all of my weird games. This one's from Japan. This one's from Korea. This one's from Singapore. And here's from Indonesia. It's an ARPG. And it's not really good. No, it isn't called Caves of Could. I got one weird game and my chat got scared. They said, please close us, you're cheating, and that isn't fair.
I can't. You like lost it a third of the way through and you pulled it back strong at the end.
Good.
You gotta force
the
yourself.
Caves of Could. Like that was
that was
That's a
impressive.
hell of a reference right there.
You gotta force yourself into a corner and then find a way out. That's my philosophy.
Hold on.
All right, close your chat.
Yeah, so Maggie, if you're
Guy
not
who lives
familiar,
life.
our weekly segment wherein Nick is going to find a weird game from his catalog of a lot of weird games. We're going to try to guess what it is based on clues.
Oh boy.
That is the game.
Mm-hmm.
So today's game actually made it to a number of different platforms. We're specifically speaking of the Xbox 360 version of it, but it also came to arcade, Microsoft Windows,
Okay.
of course, PlayStation 3, and then, like I mentioned, 360. It was released September 2008 in North America on the 360. There's a little bit of a dearth in the spacing of when it was released. Most recently, the Windows version was actually released in 2015. So a bit of a gap there. And we're talking about a fighting game today.
Whoa.
A fighting game developed by Arc System Works, in fact, and not a commonly known one.
Okay.
And then published by Axis. So the central premise of this one is that its characters... What is that face?
What is that face?
That's your ventriloquist dummy face? What is that?
It reminds me of the orange, creepy orange.
Oh, the annoying YouTube one? Yeah.
It's just my thinking face.
It's freaking me out a little bit.
I have to say the words Blaze Blue out loud.
Yeah, but that's not what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say Nick's talked about that so many times. There's no way.
Is it a Guilty Gear game?
No.
Okay.
Oh yeah, we can't do yes and no questions. I keep getting on this habit of just agreeing to do that.
And we're
Does
gonna
it
keep
start
trying
with a?
No.
Does it start with an F?
So the big notable thing about this is that the characters have a sort of a storybook style to them and a fantasy theme.
Storybook style fantasy.
Yeah, it's got 12 characters, arcade fighter, console ports, was received a bit above average, like 7 out of 10s.
Does it kind of feel like a Smash vibe?
No, not really.
Okay.
That's a yes or
It's
no,
sold
man.
very,
You're
very
breaking
poorly,
rules
by
here.
the way.
Oh yeah, that was a yes or no. Sorry.
That's
I'm garbage with fighting games, so
Yeah, I think,
don't
you told me it was not a well-known one, and I'm like, man.
Can I Google's? Can I use Google's, or
Nope.
do I have to?
You
You have to
gotta-
just
Once you do,
guess
you
it,
recuse
right?
yourself.
That's right.
I'm going to read some from the back here.
Ryan just leaves chat open.
Yeah. Well, I take a gander at what my chances are, and I'm like 0. So yeah, I have a check.
Oh, the back of the box is like completely not helpful.
Read it.
It's a
Challenge
box.
the best fighters from around the world via Xbox Live. Experience the world of this game through the eyes of 12 different characters. Unleash deadly attacks and combinations with heat up mode.
Heat up.
Heat up
That's
mode.
like
yeah.
everything that it says. From the creators of the Guilty Gear series, which
Ooh.
you already knew.
You getting down that track.
King of Fighters.
No.
Damn it.
Yeah, I
I
got
got
out
nothing.
here. I think that's
I'm tapping out.
you going obscure fighting
Yeah,
games.
like I could probably give you more, but I think this is like the amount of info that you would need to get this realistically.
Did
if
anybody
you-
in chat get it yet?
Oh yeah, chat got it,
Okay.
of course.
Mm-hmm.
Chat's like always on top of everything.
They're
The
impressive.
game
Google foo.
was called Battle Fantasia.
Battle Fantasia.
All right.
Never seen that game in my life.
Not
Never in
a
your
single
life,
time.
huh?
Yep. Mm-mm.
I believe it's on Steam actually, if you want to look it up.
Huh.
Actually, a decent game. Even though my copy is wrapped, I have played it before. I think I ended up buying a new copy for some reason. I don't know why it's wrapped.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Got to preserve the value.
Not a bad fighter, actually. A bit of a small roster, but I enjoyed it.
Battle Fantasia Revised Edition came out in 2015. Wouldn't you know it?
Yeah,
Cool.
revised edition. So
I feel
see.
like it would port really well to mobile.
Oh yeah, it does look like it would
Yeah.
do that.
Although, do fighting games really work that well on mobile? I don't. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't.
Like a few that I think can work. It's just they just have to not have like a ton of abilities, and you have to have like a good control for it. But otherwise, yeah.
Who got it in chat, Nick?
The first person that I have on my chat before it got cut off was Exquisite Meat. So congratulations, Exquisite Meat.
Good name.
Exquisite meat.
Good name. Good
Very
shit.
nice name.
All right.
Thank you for playing.
Hey, everybody. We made it through another episode of Roundtable Live. Appreciate you being here. Thank you very much for your support. And Maggie Krohn, thank you for being here as well. Where can they go find you?
Thank you for inviting me. You can find me in all the places, Margaret Krohn. Most of the places, I guess I should say. If you want to go find that, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and all my links are over at margaretkrohn.com if you want to just gander over there quick. And yeah, if you're interested in any NC Soft games, I work over there and I run all of their live streams and live production and YouTube content.
They can also find you Wednesday nights. Where would that be?
And Thursday nights.
That's true. And twitch.tv/LastInitiative show where I play Dungeons and Dragons every Wednesday, and then every Thursday I play Edge of the Empire with a bunch of people over there too.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah. Cool. That'll do it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Appreciate you. If you want to discuss the show, you can go over to our subreddit. That's roundtablepodcast.reddit.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at RoundtablePC. You can watch the VOD for free over on YouTube. That's BaerTaffy, RockLeeSmile, MathasGames for the YouTube uploads. And that's it. Thank you very much for watching, y'all. And we will... we don't know if we'll be back next week. We'll figure it out. Stay tuned on Twitter. We'll see you next time, whatever that is. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody.